meeting. We have an agenda we'll be going through. We will skip the pledge. There's no flags here, and it seems a little crazy. So I'm going to skip that. We will have public comment. It will be at the end of the meeting. So when we're discussing any topic or as we go along, please, we won't be letting you in. We will let everyone have their moment in the sun at the end of the meeting with public comment time, unless we decide differently as we go along. So first we have the financial report from our wonderful treasurer accountant, Michelle. Michelle, would you like to take over?
Sure.
Michelle.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
So along with the financial report, I sent stuff along for May, which are preliminary financial reports, and sorry. They're so good until I have to talk. So there's preliminary for May, and then there's month to date for June. June's only 1 month into the financial fiscal year, so there's really not much to report for June. So I'm going to go through the hit list. It's a 2-page highlights, and then we can take any questions.
I'll get it.
So tax collection through July 8th, we're at 92.5%. Same percentage as we were for the past 2 years. So the COVID really did not impact tax collection, which I'm surprised but grateful. We're right on target where we should be. We did receive an AIM payment at the end of May. Some AIM payments were being withheld, but we were lucky enough to get ours because it was for last fiscal year. If the pandemic keeps happening, we might have to worry about that $16,000 come next May, but we're nowhere near that yet. For the ban, a good thing that came out of the pandemic was the market was all over the place. So we ended up saving $24,000 in interest on our yearly ban for water and sewer projects. We were budgeting, 2.4, 2.5%, and we ended up at 1.44%, a whole percentage less than budgeted, which is great news. We just happened to go to the market the right week because the 2 weeks prior, nobody was getting bans. So we were pretty lucky there. The AUD I'm working on, it's due in 2 weeks on August 1st. The external auditors will be doing their audit virtually. They've been doing with other municipalities. It takes a little longer, but they're not comfortable coming in, and they're only here for 2 or 3 days max anyway, so we'll just have to do a lot of scanning. They might have to do a phone conference, but if that, we'll schedule it. It'll be 5 questions, is there any fraud going on, things like that. So they're being pretty flexible as long as we're flexible with them. Also, let's see, for the financial report for the current year, we went over that, nothing really going on. And then for last year, I think the fund balance is going to be over $200,000 in savings. When we did the budget, we were looking at $180,000 of savings. And with projects not getting done due to COVID, and we didn't really lose revenue last year because we won't see an impact until C Streak and all the tourist stuff that happened in the summer and the fall. We're looking at at least $200,000, maybe $220,000 of revenue over expense for last year. And that'll be confirmed by the audit. And then for last year, I'm working on a budget resolution. I didn't want to prepare one while I was in the middle of finalizing the books. And then you'll see that in the upcoming maybe 2 or 3 weeks budget resolution to fix all the budgets that are over. Most of them are within their own departments. It's just maybe like the police repairs were over budget, but then they were less on the maybe equipment or something like that. So there's no big lines without it being amongst the department to fix. I know I haven't been on a couple meetings. Does anybody have any financial concerns or questions for me?
Michelle, do you have any, I know that we should be getting CHIPS money coming in for the reports we sent, but is there any word on what's coming up for CHIPS for the current year?
No, not yet. It hasn't been released. I checked maybe 2 weeks ago. They always say that the winter recovery is not going to take place, and then it ends up we get it. But I can check tomorrow morning to see if anything has come.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Also, it sounds like I talked to Jeff today, and the water bills, they all came in as usual also, so that was good.
Yeah, no problem there either.
Okay, so it seems like we're in very good shape, considering everything.
Yes, I'm watching it. The taxes are good, which is the bulk of our revenue. It's just mostly like the tourist stuff, like a couple $1,000s for events that happen at Mayor's Park. If C Street doesn't happen, that's, 20, 25,000. So we'll keep an eye on it as the fall approaches.
Okay. And parking meters, Marie, where are we at with that? Or is that a loss, or that's not for currently?
I think we came out about what was expected in fiscal year 2019, 2020, correct, Michelle?
Yes, even with slow months,
Okay.
we were still on budget.
Right. And June, we had one good day. We've had 2 good days in July. We'll see what happens throughout, but we're not in a deep hole yet on parking meters.
That's
Okay.
good news.
Michelle, could you refresh my memory? If we get into a hole, there's regulations on what we can pull out of the balance. So we can't really dip into that, right? Unless it's an emergency or.
No, you can't use it to balance the budget over and over again for everyday items. But once you're in the budget year, if revenue's not coming in, you could use it. But,
Okay.
if you have a steady stream and stuff like that, you don't want to just dip into it because you can. You want to try and expend everything that was already budgeted for.
Thank you.
But I think that if we have to dip into it a little bit, there's plenty there. But I don't think at this stage, even if we lose C Street, we did some things last year to try and compensate in case we lose money. We paid 2 car payments early. Gabriel, we paid 2 car payments early, and that was $30,000 of expenses that don't fiscal year 2021. It happened last year, and it did a couple little things like that to help in case we don't get revenue.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the board? Guess we'll keep an eye on things as we roll along here, but it seems like we're in good shape for this fiscal year anyway. I guess next year might be an impact year. We find out what we get from the county or whatever. Is that true? Or Michelle, how do you see that as far as the following fiscal year?
We'd have to see if the county's willing to give us the $7,500 for the tourism. And the county does give us our AIM payments now, but it's a state mandate, so I don't think they can really stop that. But if the state stops AIM across because the state doesn't have funding, then counties might follow suit. But that would still be this fiscal year. It's just the tourism that might be a little up in the air.
As far as their payment of delinquent taxes, is that something they could change also and not offer that?
I've spoken with Michelle, what's her name?
Lisa Johnson?
Yes, I've spoken with Lisa Johnson. That is mandated by law.
Oh, okay.
That the county has to make us whole. What we're trying to do, and she's working with, is she real property, Michelle?
Yes.
She's trying to work with legal to see whether or not we can draft 2 new intermunicipal agreements, which would cover water and sewer taxes that are unpaid from either town residents or Village of Nelsonville residents, and have those sent by the town and the Village of Nelsonville to Putnam County for reimbursement of their taxes, and then they would reimburse us. This seems as if it's a new question, so I'm hopeful that we'll get a positive answer. I know that in other municipalities, this has occurred, but it may be because there's a water district. I don't know. So she's on vacation right now. When she returns, hopefully I'll get an answer from her.
Great, thank you.
I
Okay.
had one question, just quick question for Michelle.
Where'd you come from?
I've been here the whole time, pal. the lower interest rate we got on that loan, is that an adjustable loan, or is it, that's just what we get?
No,
for-
it's fixed for the year. It's, it renews every year, every May. It's like a
So it could be
364
higher.
day. Yeah,
It's an
it's,
adjustable.
well, not adjustable throughout the 12 months. We just have to reapply every year. That's the purpose of a ban until we go to bond, but we're not going to go to bond probably until we know what we're going to do with the dams.
Right. So we're just holding it.
Yep.
All right. That makes sense. It would be too bad. It'd be awesome if we could keep that,
I know.
that rate. But, okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Yes, what, Gabriel, is that you? Okay, thank you again, Michelle. Great job, as usual. Thanks, keep us updated.
Okay, and if anybody reviews the reports and has questions, just send me an email, let me know, I'll get back to you.
Okay, great,
All
thank
right,
you.
Michelle.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Police Department. Is Larry on or not?
No.
No? Okay. Number of calls for service 59, total number for the year 327. Total number of tickets issued was 58, and total per year is 359. As well, we might discuss later. I guess there was some graffiti in the negative way down by Mayor's Park. The police department is looking into it. Bugsy, I believe, went down and power washed it off and also painted or whatever, tried to clean up as best possible. So it's not seen. Is that right, Bugs?
Yes, both.
Both. Okay, great. So we won't get into that too much, but there was some graffiti written there. Like I said, I believe it wasn't racial. I think it was sexual orientation, I guess you would call it. So we'll be dealing with that. The police are on it. We've cleaned it up, and we'll have an investigation on that. Obviously, we won't tolerate that. So we'll do whatever we have to do to stop. And
Do you
find.
know whether or not Nico is doing weekends,
He is.
He is, yes.
both days?
Both days, as far as I know. Unless there's rain predicted, Larry might call him off.
Okay.
I've seen him on any day that's been, sunny or clear out or
I
somewhere.
didn't see him on Sunday, which is why I asked.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Maybe, yeah, no idea. I know he's on the payroll. But. Okay, thank you. Let's see, monthly report, recreation. Do we have anything, or is Ruth Ann on?
She's not on and she didn't submit anything.
Okay, thank you. Planning board. See anything on that either?
Correct.
Okay. Zoning board of appeals. We have on here a report, current business, none, new business. Board received an application variance to construct a bike gardening shed in the side yard setback at 2 Locust Ridge. A workshop was scheduled for July 2nd. The board received an application for variance to construct a garage in the front yard setback at 11 Benedict Road. A workshop will take place August 6th. Old business, a public hearing for the 192 Main Street application requiring variances for expanding an accessory building was scheduled for July 2nd. Because the meeting location changed from Village Hall to Zoom, the applicants were required to renotice the public, and July 2nd was the first possible scheduled meeting date when the hearing could continue. Public hearing for variances needed to construct a home at 21 Parsonage Street remains open. I had talked to Jeff earlier in the day about that, the variance on that, or the public hearing on that. We might have to renotice since it's been going on for quite a bit. So that's in the works. We'll find out from John whether we need to or how Aaron feels on zoning.
On Parsonage, you mean?
Yes, on the Parsonage Street.
Oh, okay.
I think it's been open for 6 months or so. Let's see, Town of Phillipstown. I think I got a late one here. Let's see, this is from Bob Flaherty. Our town hall and building department remains open and is very busy in providing all services that our community requires. Courts are still closed until further notice. Town hall renovations are moving along on schedule, looking at late this year or early next to be completed, if not before. We will be restoring the original tin ceiling on the second floor. Completed electrical AV and data cabling is roughed in, sheetrock completed, insulation completed. A mock-up for the siding was done much better than the last month, but still needs to be modified to make it look better. Where the coins and the siding come together. Approved for a few change orders. New windows have been installed and completed. Picked out colors of the interior walls. First coat of paint is in progress. Excuse me. We're moving forward with building a new highway garage. We'll be renting 2 garage bays from Whoville LLC, Allen Cole Garage. We'll be using this space for all the maintenance and mechanical work for the trucks and equipment. All required equipment that is required to do our day-to-day maintenance activities have been moved to these garages. The plan is still to be completed before winter. We hired Beatty and Watson for site work engineering, Mike Carr for structural work, and Gerard for mechanical and electrical engineering. We are offering $100 Food Town vouchers for those who have fallen on difficult times. We are long delivering these cards, but can be picked, something not right there, these cards, but can be picked up at Food Pantry on Saturdays from 10 to 12. Access to Drug World gift card capped at $100 per month. To date, we have supplied over $200,000. Discuss the moratorium on.
Dave?
Yes.
Back up. I think that should be, we are no longer in the cards. We are no longer delivering these cards.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't reading right. So that's probably right. So I'll read that one again. We are no longer offering $100 Food Town vouchers for those who have fallen at difficult times.
No, we are no longer delivering them, but they can be picked up.
Okay. Wow. Okay, let's try this again.
I'm sorry.
Third time's the charm. We're offering $100 Food Town vouchers for those who have fallen at difficult times. We are no longer delivering these cards, but they can be picked up at the Food Pantry on Saturdays from 10 to 12. Access to Drug World gift card capped at $100 per month. To date, we have supplied over $200,000. To date,
Wow.
we have to have Bobby rewrite these. Help me out here, Bob. Discuss the moratorium on new land use on properties located on Upland Drive, Bridge Road, and Cliffside Court in Continental Village. Remind everyone to complete their U.S. Census for 2020. Planning board meeting with 2 public hearings are scheduled for this Thursday, July 16th at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. Workshop for new Leaf Community Garden scheduled for July 22nd at the Rec Center at 7 o'clock. Thank you, Bob. Let's see, Historic District Review. Let's see, current applications in June reviewed an application for modification to the Main Street storefront at 2 Depot Square. We also reapproved a COA which has expired for window replacement at 1820 Garden Street, and reapproved modifications to a previously approved application at 2 Locust Ridge, the home of Vice Chair Foley, for a garden shed. We met in workshop with 192 Main Street in preparation for a ZBA public hearing for the modification to their barn. And we met in workshop with 6 Paulding Avenue to discuss potential kitchen extension as well as modifications to their front porch. For our July monthly meeting on July 8th, we have received applications for review of a pergola at 224 Main Street and a porch reconstruction at 14 Furnace Street. We'll also review an application for window replacement at 24 Parsonage Street, the residence of ZBA Chair Aaron Wolf. Lastly, we will be reviewing for the first time 65 Paulding Avenue, one of the single family homes that are part of the Butterfield development. We have several outstanding referrals and construction season is back in full swing. As such, we expect a full meeting on July 22nd. Board work and project notes. The work on our design standards has slowed during COVID-19 lockdown. However, we met with the graphic designer virtually in early June to discuss next steps, and work is continuing forward. After an organized meeting in early June to discuss new protocols for social distancing, we conducted our first fully remote board meeting on June 24th using Zoom. It was very easy with no major complications. We have altered our material submissions requests to a combination of hard copies and digital copies, so materials can be distributed to the board without contact. And we hope that in the future we can continue the digital element to make it easier for the board to review materials prior to meetings. We will need to work out a system through which the materials can be made available to the public. Other than some minor frustrations in the workshop stages, such as being able to mark up drawings in real time, we see no reason why we cannot function as successfully using Zoom as we did face-to-face. We swiftly adapted and do not expect any lapses in our ability to review applications throughout September or beyond. Respectfully submitted, Sean Conway. Let's see, fire company.
Yeah, we got something here. Monthly report for Cold Spring Fire. 14 alarms for June, 1 mutual aid to Garrison for a structure fire, 3 carbon monoxide alarms, 4 activated fire alarms, 3 EMS assists, 2 motor vehicle accidents, and 1 mountain rescue at Breakneck. Respectfully, Tom Merrigan, Chief.
Steve, what's going on with the foam?
I was just going to mention that. Those guys can't. They say they've looked at it again, and they're not able to get the foam in there fully, so that method isn't going to work. So, well, we're going to have to find another way of doing it. But I think in the meantime, we should move forward with abating the mold that has grown on the wall. Just get that done, and maybe with the new flashing, the problem won't be, as bad as it was before. Because since they re-roofed, it's all sealed from above now.
Right.
And
can you follow up on that, or find somebody, or we can whatever?
Yeah, I'll deal with
it.
Yep.
Also, their side door, we have to have the side door replaced, the small one going into the meeting room.
Yes.
Can you take a look at that, and
I'll do that too. Yep.
Put a note out or to bid or whatever we have to do, but it definitely needs to be replaced. It won't shut or lock.
They had somebody in there today about the mold.
Oh, they did already?
Yeah, they have JTM Painting, Jared Maddock.
Yep.
I spoke with Jeff Phillips Jr. today, and he said he was coming in today to start working on that.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So, Steve, could you contact Tom and just ask him what's going to make sure we're, what's going on with that?
I will.
Or if it's gotten estimates, it's going to be out of our budget, so he should actually contact us first. But
okay, I will. I'll deal with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
One other note on the fire company, the water and wastewater department have requested photo IDs since in the past they've been not denied entrance into residences. And Jeff got in touch with the fire company who has the machinery to produce laminated photo IDs. And they have told Jeff that they'll do that, but they want to wait until the coronavirus has stopped a bit so that they can meet in person. So that was great for them to do that. And thanks to Jeff for reaching out to them.
Okay, great. Thank you, and thank you to the fire company.
Yes.
And hopefully COVID goes away soon. Next, the Tree Advisory Board. The TAB is pleased to return to our work, and will hold our regular monthly meeting again, starting with a public meeting by video conference on July 22nd, 7:30 p.m. At that meeting, we will be holding a public review of an application to remove a mulberry tree on village property in front of 33 Market Street. We will also be restarting and reorganizing our regular planning work, including work on the DEC grant project, and will update the board on progress and outstanding items subsequent to our July 22nd meeting. The tab would like to extend our thanks to the Highway Department for their wonderful work on the installation of permeable pavers on Main Street, which continued during the COVID-19 volunteer board hiatus. They look great and will help extend the life of our Main Street trees. Respectfully, Jennifer Sword. Thank you, Jen. Glad you're back in action. Chamber of Commerce, do we have anyone from there or anything from them?
No, Jack said he was going to join.
Jack might have dropped off the chamber board, so I'm not sure if he might join for other reasons, and he's welcome to. Water, wastewater, is Matt around or?
Nope.
No. Okay. I hate reading his reports. Water Department monthly operation report. Bacterial lab tests, all routine bacteriological monthly samples were found in good standing. Annual drinking water quality report has been submitted to PCDOH pending approval before mailing out. Hack equipment service plan pending purchase order authorization to move forward. Catskill DEP project, Beatty and Watson surveying conducted and report received. Bart Clark has reached out to DEP on 5/10, no updates since emailing. Wastewater department, the reservoir systems, I just want to go back for a second. The water, we're at 100% capacity. Wastewater department, monthly operational report. Biochemical oxygen demand 95.6% removal, total suspended solids 95.6% removal, liquid sludge hauled off site 23,000 gallon. Hack equipment service pending purchase order authorization to move forward.
That was you signed off on that purchase order, Dave.
Okay.
Yesterday. That's the one we did yesterday.
Dave,
Yes.
I think the 100% capacity was for 2019. We're at 90%,
Oh, okay.
90.38.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry. Yes.
I was wondering how we're doing. I mean, we got some rain, but mostly no rain for the past couple of weeks. I was wondering how we're doing.
Usually when we have downpours, it fills up really quickly. The water from the mountain is really draining.
That works.
Don't know.
If I might mention something here, I was talking to a friend of mine in New Paltz who is very active in the water issues there. And if we're having trouble, it seems like we're having trouble getting response from the DEP as far as pursuing, the dam rehab project and everything. My friend Mark recommended a water rights attorney if we need them, who's apparently really good. So I just thought I'd throw it out there. It's a resource for us if we need it.
Yeah, our attorney was supposed to have spoken to that guy already over 2 years ago now. So,
yeah, I think he found out or was aware of the new Paltz, how they had dealt with their
yeah, like 4 years ago I was there, and then we got the information, and then or the guy's number, and then our attorney was supposed to have spoken with him or dealt with it. So
okay,
whether that ever happened or not, I think it did, and he didn't get much out of it. That's from what I remember, but we can always ask him again.
Oh, I don't know if it's the same guy, but that would be worth pursuing.
Well, that's where I got it from, New Paltz. I'm friends with the mayor there and the deputy mayor. Yeah, and they gave me the information a while ago, but why not do it again?
Yeah.
Why not? Okay. Do you want to call him, Steve, and maybe just ask if something new has happened? I think they dealt and were actually successful with their dealings, whereas...
Yeah, they were on track years ago. They were fine. They held the DEP to their original agreement from 1919 or whatever it was, and they had to give them the water.
I think
with the help of this attorney. He's out of Rochester or somewhere like that.
I'm sorry. I think part of the strength of New Paltz is the university up there.
Yeah,
they have hundreds of thousands of students that they have, and so they have a lot of pull because of that.
The story they told me was they were going to the meeting with the DEP, and they had Senator or Assemblyman Hinchy and the president of SUNY New Paltz with them at the meeting, and then the DEP was very happy to accommodate them.
Funny.
So that's how that worked.
Maybe we should send our mayor.
Yeah, there you go.
It works for me.
Good luck with that. A lot of power there.
Yeah, the juice. Got a lot of juice.
A lot of juice, yeah. Okay, back on schedule here. Building department. Let's see, new building permit applications, 23. It's a big number. Building permits issued 15. Operating permits issued 1. Dumpster permits 1. COs issued 6. Record searches completed 4. Complaints received 2. HDRB referrals 4. ZBA referrals 2. Planning referrals 2. Fees, application, and permit collected, $3,530. Record search collected 300, sorry. Other fees, $30, for a total of $3,860.
I have
Yep.
a question about this. Am I just reading this wrong, or is what we collected from the building department for June 2020 was also all we've got? It's the numbers are the same for our fiscal year.
It's the new fiscal year. June 1st is new fiscal year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was
Sorry about that.
the date screwed up in my head. Never mind. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, there was also a note on the bottom, which I missed. Application submitted for new residents at Butterfield Development, referred to HDRB, and 124 Main Street, Cold Spring Hotel, issued notice to remedy. They were selling food and weren't approved for that. Has applied to the planning board for site plan review. Next, Bugsy Highway, having fun over there.
I don't have my report with me.
Okay, you want me to read?
Oh, nasty.
Did the dog eat it?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. I didn't even think about bringing it home.
Okay, we can read it. Fran, you want to read that?
Sure. Let me see, Bugsy broke through. No. Garbage collected 61.99 tons, recycling 20.97 tons. We removed a sapling on Main Street, cut down 2 dead trees at Dockside Park, chipped up all the brush that was left at Dockside with the town of Phillipstown chipper, removed 2 large broken limbs on Northern Avenue, fixed 2 broken water lines at Mayor's Park Pavilion, and turned the water on. John Jessic of Phillipstown, PhD, on site to repair and weld a broken tree guard in front of the village office. We had 1 brush collection this month, which we dumped at Benedict, removed and repoured 16 feet of curbing on Main Street, installed pavers on the north side of Main Street from Garden to the cheese factory shop, and also installed pavers in front of the village office. Restored the bench at 21 Main Street and sanded and painted the parrot gun at the dock. We had 5 different companies in to give estimates on the damage to the 93 International garbage truck. For the month of July, we will be working mainly on sidewalks, catch basins, and painting of sidewalks, painting of crosswalks. Robert Downey, VCS Highway Department Crew Chief.
Hey,
Thank you.
Bugsy,
Yeah.
On the dock side, the work we did down there, can we keep that separate? I think we have, I think there's line items, or we should talk to Michelle about that.
Yes, it's all kept separate. The hours are recorded for who was down there, what work was done, and it's all given to Michelle.
Okay, perfect. So do you want to give us updates on, I know there's been a lot of estimates on the garbage trucks, where we're at with that. I know you had a garbage truck down again today, or well, down today. But
Yeah.
it's back up fairly quickly, I think. And
Yeah.
thank you.
That was Hatfield Industries up on Route 9 who got that back up and running, because I called their owner at 5:45 this morning and woke him up, and he jumped right to it for us. As far as the garbage truck's concerned, I've got 2 estimates in, one from Freightliner, one from International, and the gentleman from Kenworth is coming down from Hudson, New York tomorrow morning at 8:30 to give me his quote on what a truck would cost. So far, Freightliner is $134,000 for everything. Truck, chassis, and the body installed on the new truck. International is Ben, is a guy out of Maine, actually, Witted Trucks. He's at $101,000 for cab and chassis, and then it would have to be get the truck down here, and I'd have to go up to Riverview Industries on 9, and they will install it onto the truck. I'm figuring probably $8,000 to $10,000. He quoted Freightliner because he's the one who will put the body on for Freightliner if we go that route. He was quoted at, I think, like $8,400 to put it on the Freightliner. And like I said, so even if he goes a little higher because he knows the guy at Freightliner, we're probably looking at about 110, 113 for an International. And like I said, Kenworth is on their way down tomorrow morning with their quote.
How did we jump from, I thought people that looked at this originally thought everything could be fixed and we were talking 30,000, and now everyone seems like that assessment's out the window, and now we're talking about total redo.
Like I said, I had a lot of people come down and look at it. A couple of them said, yeah, we can fix it. I don't think they were paying attention to the frame rails. A few of them that came down said the frame rails would be an issue. So I had Anthony Garuffi come down because he has no monetary value either way in this. And he looked at the frame rails and he said 1 to 3 years max is all they'll last. So I figured we'd be at this same crossroad in 1 to 3 years, if not sooner. So this is where I went to. I mean, I still have all the quotes for fixing it if we need to go that route.
And a new truck, if we just junk that one with the body, what have we gotten prices on that? I know that doesn't kind of make sense, but by the time we have to take it off and do whatever we're doing, where are we at with that?
A new truck is somewhere probably around $200,000 to $225,000.
Okay, that answers that question.
What about a used truck?
We could look for used, but then it's a case of shopping around. You'd be better off looking out west or down south where there is no salt used on their roads.
Right.
So the 100,000 roughly that you're quoting is just for the body, and then we have to put the whole.
That's
we have
for the
to put the-
cab and chassis.
That's for the cabin chassis,
And
then
like I said, Freightliner is $134,000 for everything, cab, chassis, and body being put on and ready to roll.
so he'll take the body off of the old truck and put it on.
The Freightliner will sell us the truck. We'll bring it down to Kevin Reichert at Riverview Industries, and he will put the body on, and that price is included in the $134,000. The International coming out of Maine from Witted Trucks, cab and chassis is $101,200 is what he quoted me at. And again, that would be get the truck, bring it down, and we'd have to get the old garbage truck up to Kevin Reichert at Riverview, and he would swap it out.
Can you drive the old garbage truck?
I wouldn't drive it far on the road.
I mean, how are you going to get it up to Riverview?
I wouldn't either.
Gets
It would have
towed?
to be towed, or
Take it apart
I would
and
have
just
to
take-
do some torch work before I could run it.
And drive it at 2 in the morning.
Exactly.
That thing is, I mean, it's so off-center. It's pathetic. I thought I was drunk when I was looking at it.
It'll be all right. With the amount of times my mother hit me growing up, it actually looks straight to me.
How's the tree doing that you hit?
Better than the truck.
Okay.
At least go with that because that's what I told Jen. So
Okay, so we're talking 120 probably. We'll see what Kenmore comes down up with, and
yes,
go with there. Can we get written? Have we gotten written quotes?
I have a written from Freightliner, a verbal from International, but he said he'd have no problem sending me a written. And like I said, Kenworth's coming down tomorrow at 8:30.
All right, we definitely need written estimates, so we
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
sure what everything that's included is included. The second big item is the roof. Steve, you're more familiar. Bugsy didn't have a ladder to get up there. I would have went up there today.
Yeah, you don't want to go up there.
What are we talking about though? I mean,
Oh.
is it the whole roof really? Is it time?
No, it's the metal's all fine. They put fiberglass roof panels that look just like the metal roof panels in
Right.
for skylights, and they're just gone. They're shot. They're totally falling apart. So we put that stuff on them, which kind of worked a little bit.
Right.
But so the rest of the roof, the metal parts are in decent shape, but the skylights are shot. So I had a few ideas of just we can get those same roof panels, more than likely. We'll have to look into that, and just put a roof panel over the skylight
Right.
panel where it is and be done with it, cement it down.
Okay. Would you have to
Or
start-
we try and there's some of that material, we could get another can of the stuff we used on the skylights and try that again. But that costs a few $100 by the time you're done. So it might just be better to no more skylights and screw them down.
So we'd have to run a panel from the peak down over them, probably.
Well, it's a flat roof up there.
What's that?
It's flat.
Oh, it's a flat roof.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it because they have these parapets all the way around. That's why I said don't bother climbing up there, because you have to get up there and then you have to jump off the parapet down on the roof. But there is a slight pitch. It's not a flat roof. There is a pitch in there, but it's not extreme.
So is the roof rubber?
No, it's corrugated metal, standing seam metal, or
Really? And
not
then
standing seam, corrugated.
and what happens when it meets the parapet wall? Is there a gutter there? Or
There's
is
a gutter that goes around the entire perimeter of the roof that's about 16 inches wide, maybe. And then it has a metal bottom in it, and all the water collects in there. It's like
and
a gutter.
that all looks good?
Yeah, everything looks pretty good up there. It's just the skylights are failing.
How many are there, Steve?
Well, I think there's 3 on each side or 4 on each side. It's either 6 or 8. I don't know.
8.
It's 8. Okay. Yeah.
And is it safe to be on the skylight portion of the roof?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Metal roof. It's fine. If you stepped on a skylight, you go right through it.
Right. Yeah, that
So,
I
I
understand.
don't recommend that to anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't do that then.
Okay.
So, aren't you glad we gave you new lights, Bugsy? New
Yes.
lights, you don't need the skylight anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree with Steve. I think the way to go is to cover those skylights because, with the new lighting Marie got in down there, we're good to go.
Yeah. For the whole new roof there is going to be massive cost.
Right.
That's a lot of square footage.
Who could, we'll need to get estimates.
Well, I'll look into finding the panels first to make sure we can get them,
Okay,
and then we'll go from there.
okay.
All right. Got a lot on your plate, Steve.
I do. I got a lot of time too.
You're the man.
I'm not busy at all.
All right.
Oh, and I'm going on vacation in a week from Friday, so
Okay.
I won't be around for the next meeting.
Bring your computer.
Okay. There's no signal in the Adirondacks. Sorry.
All right. Okay, thanks. If you can get on those things, though, that'd be good.
I will.
That and the firehouse thing. Definitely the firehouse things I want to that's been dragging on. So, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Justice Court, fines, forfeit bails, civil
I'm sorry,
penalties.
Dave,
Sorry.
there's one other item for Bugsy, and that's the yard debris at Benedict Road.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Can't we forget that?
No.
Where are we with that, Bugsy? Or is there a way, I was just wondering, to move a lot of that so we have more room at that same place from the bottom, or can something like that be done? I haven't looked at it.
If we brought an excavator in there, you can definitely reach farther out than I can with the backhoe. I went as far out as I could and actually started to lose the machine over the hill. We could definitely get more in there. I would definitely just stick with leaves and brush. I know Mr. Ruiz is not very happy with it up there right now. I did find out, I put a call into West Hook Sand and Gravel. They take mulch, but we would have to pay for it. I've looked around. I've called some other highway departments. They're pretty much stingy and they're sticking to themselves and they won't even let us in there.
Fran had an idea.
Me?
Fran?
I'm trying to remember what it was, Maria. I'm sorry. It's been a long week.
Fran noticed that Nelsonville is doing two.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Nelsonville's doing 2 brush pickups this week. Do you know what they're doing? I mean, they put it in the, not 2 this week, 1 this month and 1 next month. They have an ad in the paper, basically leaves and, no plastic bags, paper bags, et cetera, the whole 9 yards. Do you know where they're bringing it or who's doing it for them?
Yes, Mark Manzuela is the one who does it for them. I spoke with him today. I also spoke with Michael Bowman up there. Mark usually would bring it to Royal and get rid of it there. Some of the residents have complained they'd like to see it recycled. There is a gentleman down in Garrison. Barton is his last name. He called them for me, and he told me a 10-yard dumpster to bring down there would be $650.
Jeez.
So I kind of said thank you for that one. But if he does bring his stuff, it'll be to Barton's, or quietly he will bring it to right up to Royal.
Or he'll dump it in the woods off of, I can't remember the name of the street, where the Masonic Temple is.
Yeah.
Oh, Secor?
Is that what it is? 2 other thoughts. One was that I had mentioned to Bugsy. One was a mulch pile, but the problem is finding a location for the mulch pile. The only location I could think of was the highway property, and Bugsy's response is, we don't have the room there, and having a mulch pile requires maintaining it. The second thought was doing a controlled burn at Dockside. I don't know whether or not New York State would permit that, but I know other municipalities do something like that. They have a place where they accept brush and leaves and then periodically burn it. That practice had been acceptable up until 2 years ago, and then there was a change, a New York State change, that required that if you are under 10,000 people, you can't do that, or I forget what it was. I can look into that to see whether or not that's a possibility, but we'd need permission from New York State Parks to do that.
Environmental, that's a disaster.
Yeah, would it be?
More CO2 into the atmosphere. It's
Yeah. There would be that versus $600, $1,200, $2,000 a month to get rid of it.
Would it be better to do it at Mayor's Park than Dockside? I mean, Dockside to me is all trees, where Mayor's Park is open.
I don't even think we need to go down the road. To have a pile and that big somewhere and control burn it just seems, that would be insane. I think, tell me if I'm wrong, Bugsy, but you'd need you keep piling that up down at Dockside, or Dockside's not going to let us do that. I'll tell you right now.
Maybe the highway property. So
Yeah.
Maybe
if it got really windy.
we
Well,
can
maybe-
build them a cabin.
Oh,
Maybe-
look who it is.
Maybe the firehouse could use it as a drill.
Exactly.
That works. Bugsy, that pile that's at the highway garage now, that's like, cement and whatever else is in there, is there a way we can get that out of there or make space over there? I mean, it's been there forever. I don't know what's in it. I think there's been junk put in there forever. Can we get rid of it?
Pavement.
We could get rid of it. I can talk with Ricky Ventura up on 9 and see if he would accept it. We'd have to pay to get rid of it. I do remember when, excuse me, when Eddie was still here, there was talk of the county hauling it away because they wanted to use it to dump stuff in there as well, instead of going all the way back across county, and they would haul it away for us. and I've never heard anything since about that. One other thing we can look at, and I don't know if it would work, but one of those outdoor furnaces, which would heat the building during the winter, but you'd have to stockpile the stuff until winter. It's just a thought. I mean, because I really can't think of anything else right now.
But that wouldn't be good for brush and leaves. I mean, that would be good for bigger things, I would
Okay.
think.
Hey, Bugsy,
Another idea.
who owns the tra-
Go ahead.
who owns the trailer down there?
At
The
the
one that's-
garage,
Yeah, the one that's up against the property line.
that's the county's.
What do they use it for?
That's where the men stay during the winter when they're plowing and stuff.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Which one, Marie? Because there's the one that's by that big pile that was building boats, building bridges. That longer trailer.
No, the one that's closer to the river, there's a very long near the pile of debris that
That's the
Fran
one.
was talking about.
Yeah.
There's also another trailer that's against the property line to the east.
Oh, okay.
And that's what Bugsy was talking about. But
Okay.
Bugsy, what about that long trailer that's perpendicular to the river and the tracks that is just south of that debris pile?
That is our trailer. We inherited that from building bridges, building boats. He gave it to me because he was leaving there. And I actually have equipment stored in it.
Okay. There's also a couple of boats there, rowboats.
Yes. Would you
And
like
they're-
one?
No, thanks.
They are
And they're-
ours as well. So if you guys can think of something, that's one more thing we can get rid of down there and maybe go to a good cause.
I'm
Bobby,
thinking,
I know you're on, Bob. I know that when I was on the town board, I think Nancy was working, and I know someone gave a presentation on bringing stuff to the town dump and doing some type of, brush and leaves there. It got pretty complicated, so I don't think it was.
Yeah, I
followed
think
up.
the only thing I know, the town uses it, Phillipstown, of course, uses it for, big trees and so forth like that. And last year, we had to pay $10,000 to get that all
Frozen.
chipped up and mulched. So we got a big pile of mulch up there. And I talked to Carl about starting to stockpile, larger logs and so forth like that we really can't do anything with. And he probably plans on doing the same thing next year with that. I'll talk to Carl and see if there's some things we could possibly take. But leaves-wise, I don't think they want anything to do with leaves. Maybe some larger trees or something like that. It's a possibility.
Okay.
I'm sorry I'm late at the meeting. I missed my report. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I read it. I read it
Okay.
perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
I did mess it up, actually.
I'm sure my grammar could be a little bit better here and there too.
If you, Bob, if you could, see if there's any other thoughts on using that, or if you guys, I don't know.
Let me just ask you this. How many yards of leaf you looking to get rid of? Is it a lot of leaves?
During the spring and autumn, you're looking at probably 12 to 15 yards a week
A week.
of
Yeah.
leaves and sticks and stuff.
Mhm. You don't separate it out, right?
No.
Okay. All right. I'll do a little investigation and see what I can come up with.
I spoke with Carl already, and he
Yeah,
said
no,
leaves
right?
were a no-go.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figure. Leaves are a tough thing to get rid of. Like I said, bigger stuff possibly. I'll talk to Carl about the leaves. I don't know. I remember, years and years ago, we used to burn all the Christmas trees over the cemetery. I don't know if they can still do something like that over there in wintertime. Back in Potter's Field, we used to dump all the trees
so the next lawn pickup
and
is
burn them in
next
winter
week.
when it was snow.
It's
It's
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Pardon? It's tomorrow? What's Bugsy gonna do?
Bugsy is probably going to have to take it down to the incinerator plant in Peekskill. I
Okay,
really have no other choices. Mr. Ruiz really doesn't want anything up there anymore, and he's kind of parking his cars in front of the entrance to keep people out.
Okay, well, Mr. Ruiz, I mean, that's fine, but it's our property. We've been doing that. It's been there forever. Is it full, or what's the problem? I mean, what's different about it, or where are we at? You know, he can't just block us off and stop us from coming into our property. And we
I agree.
stop a practice because of one resident, although we should understand his I'm sure I understand his reason for it, but where are we at, or why can't we bring stuff there?
I can probably bring tomorrow's load there, and then we don't have another one for at least another 4 to 5 weeks.
I would do that.
Okay.
And then if there's nowhere that needs fill or anything where we can take what's there and take that out of there if it's compacted, or is it all just, what's basically that whole area made up of now? Is it
That whole area is,
decomposed?
what's that?
Is it stuff that hasn't decomposed, or is a lot of it solid that could be used as landfill?
All it is basically brush, limbs, some logs, and a lot of leaves.
Okay. One other question. But if we had a chipper, wouldn't that make a huge amount of difference, or would that just be a lot of time wasted on chipping stuff?
The chipper's nice. We can use you can
Phillips sounds,
put all
right?
the limbs through it, everything like that. But that just covers the limbs, the trees. It doesn't do anything for the leaves, which is the bulk of what goes in.
Okay. All right. Keep your thinking.
Well,
cap.
if you chip the stuff up, could you use that chips for landscaping stuff anywhere it's in the village at all?
Absolutely. Jen Zwarich would be more than happy to keep getting as much chips as she can. But again, I can't chip up leaves, and
No, I
that's
understand.
the
Right?
bulk of what we have.
Right. You said you used our Phillipstown chipper just this past week, right?
A couple weeks ago, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, so, well, anyway, I mean, if you need it again, I'm sure Carl can make accommodations to that. At least get rid of some stuff for you.
Yes.
You also, when you chip branches that have leaves on them and stuff, and you use that mulch, whatever tree you chip can start growing out of the mulch. It needs to be just wood you're chipping, otherwise the chips can't be used in beds and stuff like that. So then
Correct.
you'd have to strip all the leaves off of everything, and so to reuse the mulch would be it'd be a lot of work to go through all that and separate all all the stuff. But,
Or wait till it leaves dead or die.
yeah, well, that's what you should use, because then all of a sudden you have a nice tree bed that has 14 maple trees growing out of it, out of the mulch. You know what I mean?
We get those anyway.
Yeah. Right, they get worse.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should move along here. Bugsy, see what we can do there. If there's any way we can move that, I guess there's nowhere we can move it to. My initial kind of fantasy was that we, from down below on Kemble Avenue, start taking it out of there so that we have a place to put stuff, but you'd need to bring that somewhere.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Well, we might have to cut every tree down in the village and be the end of the problem, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
good thinking.
Not saying a word.
Think outside the box. All right, let's move along here. Justice Court, fines, forfeited bails, and civil penalties, $500. Parking tickets, $935. Civil fees, $70. Mandatory state surcharges, $558, for a total of $2,063. I don't believe Jeff informed me that the courts are not up and running yet, and we don't have an anticipated date.
That's a good question.
We're waiting for public comment to the end. Report from Mayor and the Board of Trustees. Anything from board, Fran?
Nothing. I've been working with Jeff on the insurance application, which the renewal, which is due at this time of year. We got that in this week, and I want to thank Bugsy and Matt and Larry for looking over their sections of it. We cut out a bunch of stuff that we don't have anymore. Got it what we think is in good shape, other than the fact the dam reports, which are never in good shape. But all of that was submitted to the insurance company, finalized, I think, today. So that's all done and through, and we just wait for them to come back to us with the numbers. That's it.
Okay. Lynn, anything?
I was taking a look at the executive order from Governor Cuomo about comprehensive police review of our police department.
So to let you know where that's at, just in case.
Yeah, where is that? Where are we on that?
We're working on that. We're on it. The county wants us to join in with a select group of, individuals or from representatives from each municipality. Not sure. A couple of, I think Carmel and also Kent weren't really happy with how it was set up, especially how we're going to meet during the COVID. And their suggestion was for each municipality to kind of get their, put everything together and then meet. So Larry's working with, I think, Ed Bollinger, and also in contact, I believe, with the county. I sent them the letters or the emails I received from the county asking us to join this, a group, effort to do this. So Larry's on top of that. He was on before I even talked to him. This was a few weeks ago. So we are working on that. I'm not sure if we'll join this group or if I sent him an email today asking him what he felt would be more productive, but haven't heard back. It was late this afternoon, but we are on top of it. If that answers your question, I don't know if it does.
Well, kind of. Just as I was reading through this order from him, I think it needs, this committee or whoever's going to be doing this review needs to be not just police officers and officers of the village, but also stakeholders in the village. That's pretty clear in this order. So, and the reason I brought it up is that I've been fielding a few calls from residents about when this is going to start happening locally. So, I don't know. I just thought, we should probably make an attempt to do something at a more local level, don't you?
Well, that's what I've kind of directed it to Larry. I'm not sure what we have right now or where we have to go. And I don't think the county has started on this either. So I think the first step to answer to the constituents is we're working on how we're setting up this, review or to answer the mandate by the governor.
Okay.
But I agree with you. It's not just going to be, and we will definitely be reviewing whatever it is, however it's done.
I just imagine that the makeup of our police department is probably different than Carmel or Brewster and also, what we're dealing with here is probably significantly different than what they see in other towns and villages around the county. So that, I think people would really like to see local information that's relevant to our residents.
Right.
So, and just the openness and transparency, I think we really need to foster.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that was Kent's and the Carmel's concern, that we're all like really different and who is going to make up this panel, or whatever. So yeah, I agree. So whatever we'll do, I'll be in touch with Larry. Hopefully at the next meeting, I'll let you know where that's going and what direction he thinks we should go in. If we think it's not the right direction, we can definitely change course. So that's, it's up to us.
Okay. Thanks for the info, Dave.
Yep. Marie.
Hi.
Steve.
Nope.
One thing that I was wondering if we could take a look at, we don't have to discuss or anything tonight, is our fee schedule and our code for parking tickets for all the different fines, and take a look at that. I don't think, right now our parking violations, I think it's $45. Doesn't seem like anybody cares whether it's $45 or not. So I was just thinking we should look at those and maybe make them significantly higher. So maybe there will be a little bit.
Sorry, we've got it's $50 for parking ticket. And we have
It says in
gotten,
the code, which is in front of me, so maybe I don't have the current one. It says current $45.
it's,
For no
it's,
parking?
I believe it's 50, and we've gotten a lot of significant negative feedback about it. Oh, I see it right there. We've gotten a lot of significant negative feedback about the amount of a parking ticket.
Really? By who? People that are violating our laws?
People
Yep.
who are getting ticketed in the municipal parking lot.
Right?
Yes.
Or not doing what they should be doing?
They're pointing out that our ticket price is significantly higher than most other municipalities.
That's fine.
Well, the view is worth it, you know?
Yeah, right.
I agree, Steve. Okay, well, if you could
Go
please
down and park out
take a
the
look at
MTA
those.
lot, too, and they
What's
won't
that?
have to pay for it. They can go down to the MTA lot and park there. So
Yeah, people that are complaining because they're breaking laws and getting tickets. That's like, hey, sorry, the tickets are too much. What would you like me to do? Hey, throw that out. Whatever you want to do seems to be, anyway. If everyone could take a look at that, maybe I'm way off base. I just thought, it doesn't seem like people would rather get a ticket for, $50 and do what they would like and park wherever, so that they have a full day in Cold Spring and pay that ticket. So we should maybe make it higher. But take a look, see what you think. Nothing else from the board? Did I get everyone? Okay, moving along. Discussion on the restrooms. And the discussion would be on opening them and during COVID and the liability of that and who's cleaning them, the amount of times they should be cleaned, and your thoughts on that.
I saw it today, and I know it's in here someplace. The Department of Health has come up with another, issued an emergency rule effective on the 9th of July. And one of the things they talk about is cleaning of restrooms and how important that is, that they can be done on a regular basis. I know it's in here, and right now I can't put my eye on it. But that's one of the things I read through. So where we stand with the fact that opening them because we can't clean them, it makes sense. So we can't do it unless they can be cleaned on a regular basis or disinfected on a regular basis. The Department of Health is emphasizing that again and making it stricter. So I see no reason for us to do anything different at this point.
I did a rough and dirty estimate about what cleaning and sanitizing would cost us if we did it 3 times a day as mandated. It would increase our costs to roughly $580 a week during the warm weather months. So just in case any of the public out there is interested in what those costs really amount to, it's, and that's not accurate by any means, but just hiring somebody locally to do it 3 times a day, 7 days a week would be at least $580 a week in addition to what we're currently doing.
So it's about $80 a day.
Yeah.
Were you basing that on having someone in our employee going there? Because we can't bring somebody in for an hour, clean it, then go home, and then come back 3 hours later and clean it and go home. You have to almost assume that somebody's going to be working all day. You're gonna have
That
to pay
was
someone
just based on the hours that it would take to do it. Not scheduling somebody for an entire day and having that 3 times a day cleaning responsibility added to whatever else they're doing. That's just what the cleaning of the restrooms and opening up the restrooms would cost the village. So.
I mean, if we just did, that's for a full week, Lynn?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 580 per day, right?
But an additional $580 a week.
A week.
Just to clean and sanitize the bathrooms 3 times a day, 7 days a week.
I think that would be, I know you threw out these figures, so I'm not basing this on this, but just having it on 2 days, just on Saturday and Sunday, If we use just our highway department, I think they have to be paid for 2 hours, and it's going to be either double time or time and a half. So
Yeah.
I think the number would be
Probably significantly more.
day. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you basically have to keep them in all day because you pay them for 2 hours and then 3 hours later they have to come back, you pay them for two, it's an all day thing.
Yeah.
And it's not, and there's no companies that will come in and do that either.
Now, I called a couple of companies to see if there's anybody willing to do that, and nobody's taking on those jobs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to die.
Yeah.
Are porta potties an option?
You have to clean those 3 times too.
They're
Yeah.
not clean. There's no sanitation in those at all. That'd be worse. And then who's liable? I mean,
Yeah.
You have to have somebody sign a waiver every time they go in saying they're not going to sue us if they get COVID when they go in the bathroom.
Well, it's kind of tough to prove that they got it from.
Yeah,
the
but
bathroom. I understand. Maybe it's a consideration
sorry, say it again.
doing it Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be an expensive venture for us and our budget. I just don't see it happen. And I'm not sending my guys in there. I don't care. Just
Yeah.
And 3
Understood.
hours doesn't make. I don't know where they came up with 3 hours. 3 hours doesn't really, to me, make.
Well, I think it basically said they have to be cleaned 3 or 4 times a day, which is the way the regulation initially read. And a day meaning,
It's not
We
just
would
clean.
have to clean it every.
Sanitize. Yeah.
Too.
What was that, Lynn? Sorry.
It's not just cleaned as we usually clean them, as you
No,
usually do in the bathroom.
it's sanitizing.
Completely cleaned and completely sanitized. So, it involves hazmat suits, it involves, an aerosol, disinfectant sprayer, just equipment we haven't got laying around. So, I don't know.
I think also you would have to clean it if you really were serious about this after every train stop on the weekend.
Yes.
I mean, how many people come off the train, especially on a busy weekend like Sunday? Wow. Unbelievable. By 10 o'clock, there was no parking left on 9D. So, I can't imagine how many people come off the train, and we would have to, to make any sense of it, clean once every hour or every time a train came in. I just don't see it doing it. Jack Goldstein had emailed Marie and I, and, it talked about like a person volunteer down at the chamber at the booth, when they're there disinfecting it. But I just think that it's way too much to ask.
Can't ask them to do that. A volunteer, no.
Yeah, I agree.
As it turns out, Jack is on the call. Do you want to unmute him?
Sure.
Jeff, can you do that?
I'm asking him to unmute.
Okay.
And,
There he goes.
okay, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Thank
Before you start, Jeff, could you just, anybody that's not on the board, and Jack, could we have just those, videos there, please? Just the board members and Jack.
Okay.
Thanks. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
Okay, hi. Thank you all very much. The proposal that I made informally to Dave and Marie was that on a trial basis, the bathrooms be opened from 11 to 4 only on Saturday and Sunday. And that from my reading of the Forward New York information on public bathrooms, they needed to be cleaned once a day thoroughly, and then again during the course of the day, and with particular attention being paid to the areas that the governor's office identified as the primary areas. In other words, and they list them as the push plates, the faucets on a sink, the flush on a bathroom, the cover of the toilet paper roll. So, our intention is we would like to open the information booth. We can't do that unless the bathrooms are open, because I can't subject my volunteers to the, the abuse that they will naturally take by people who need to find a bathroom. So I spoke with my volunteers, including myself, and we would be willing, if the village were to clean on a Friday, which I believe it did anyway, and on a Sunday morning, which I believe it did anyway, that Friday night cleaning would suffice for the opening at 11 on Saturday. And our volunteers would go in with spray disinfectant, and we would spray the air, we would spray all of those places that the governor's office identified as the primary areas that needed to be sanitized. And then if the Sunday morning cleaning were to take place, and again, my understanding was this fell within the pre-COVID maintenance on the weekends of those bathrooms. On Sunday, if it were done, again, the bathrooms would be open at 11, and our staff, us, would go in every hour. We would stop the lines, and I have volunteers signed up, 2 volunteers for each day. So basically, a volunteer would go in once during their shift and spray thoroughly. And that would happen on Sunday as well. In addition to that, we would be happy to put signs up both in the restrooms and on the doors of the restrooms, saying these restrooms are open on a trial basis, courtesy of the Village of Cold Spring and the Chamber of Commerce, and you must have a mask and leave the bathrooms in a neat condition, or we'll end the trial, something like that, and have it on the inside as well. Plus, at the information booth, we think that we are, Nancy and Ellen Bloom from New York Presbyterian were on our chamber's morning meeting, and they have a lot of masks that they're willing to donate to the village. And so we think that we could be a main distribution point for people who don't have masks down at the foot of Main Street. I have concerns, and I've discussed them with the volunteers about their interaction, because I'm concerned as well about it. But we would have a sign up that said something like "No mask, no ask," and the window would be closed until we saw that someone had a mask on. And so I know that there are issues here, and this may be jumping the gun right at this particular moment. But as things do loosen up, we are going to be getting more and more visitors. It becomes a public health issue. I won't even take Pete into the preserve anymore because he's bringing back human excrement. So what I proposed was some sort of working relationship that the chamber and the village could undertake, staging a limited opening of the bathrooms to see how it's done. If it's your response, you've got a broader responsibility than the chamber does. And if you think that this is too early at this point to make a decision to go this route, then that's your responsibility. I just wanted you to know that that was our thinking in terms of a limited opening, and that offer would stand. From my reading of the governor's advisory on public bathrooms, they are considered essential services. And so they need never have closed actually all this time. But also my reading is that they're quite specific about what they consider to be a proper level of sanitizing the bathrooms under the COVID situation. So, as I say, that was my thinking. I sent it to Dave and Marie because, you know, the issue here is not to get people's expectations up. I mean, our constituents' expectations up. At the same time, I needed to line up to see how my volunteers felt about it. So when you all want to pull the trigger, basically, on this, when you think it's responsible, we'll be there. I hope that that decision is made sort of in time with the increase in the inevitable increase, I think, in visitors to the village. So that's my, you know, and I appreciate this sort of time to speak to you all personally about it.
Jack, couple of things. When we talked about closing the bathrooms, I was on the reopen task force with the county and I had asked specifically that question of Jen Mayer, who was the chair of that force, and she posed the question to Sean Rogan, who's is in the county, and his answer was basically that what he had seen for public restrooms, that when they were open and when they were required to be open, they had to have a staff available to clean them 3 times a day. He also said, and I'm reading his emails, the public bathrooms, are those available in Cold Spring? The answer may be either one of 2 things. Either they reopen when the retail stores are allowed in phase 2, or they reopen when the village decides it sometimes later, and they have appropriate staff to clean them. In this case, there does not seem to be any requirement to open them since they're provided as a courtesy service. In other words, there's no law requiring public restrooms in the village. It comes down to the village deciding to provide a very much appreciated service to those who wish. In doing so, they have to have the staff to clean them more frequently than normal. And that's what we based our decision on. He said 3 times a day cleaning has specifically been required for public bathrooms elsewhere in the state. So that was what we based ours on. Another question that I had to ask you, Jack.
Yep.
You have volunteers
Yep.
who you said are willing to do this. Should we ask the volunteers to be tested on a regular basis, since they're now in a situation where they're walking into a place that you know, we may or may not think is comfortable? I mean, we're not asking our employees to do it; these are volunteers.
I hadn't thought of it. If you think that it's advisable or prudent to do it, I'll discuss it with the volunteers. Again, you know, and as far as the email that you read, if you go to the New York forward information and you go to public restrooms, what they're talking about 3 times a day is sanitizing those spots, basically, after there is an initial thorough cleaning of it. And as I said, at least according to Senator Serino's office, and I didn't go to them for this information, but a chamber member did, these are considered essential services, and therefore there was no requirement that they be closed. I don't know what the sort of actuality is. It's not the first time that there may be different messages coming down on this. All I'm saying is that with the participation of the volunteers, as far as the sanitation question is concerned, I believe that we would adequately cover the advisory from the governor's office on maintenance of these. As far as the testing requirement goes, honestly, I hadn't thought of it. So if that's something that that would make a difference, you know, then I will raise it with I mean, I can't force the volunteers to take regular tests. And so if that's a requirement that you're making, and, you know, if we can't meet it, we can't meet it. So.
But there's also there's a question of the volume of usage as well. I mean, if you say you had a restaurant and you had to clean it 3 times a day because you only have 45 people in your restaurant during the course of the day or whatever,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But if there's 500 people walking around and, you know, hundreds of them have to use the bathroom, that's a lot more, you know, that's more maintenance of the room itself. So, you know,
Okay.
we're not even talking about volume in any of this. So,
and neither did the governor's advisory.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay, so
just common sense, you know.
Yeah.
Jack, I suggest you touch base with Bugsy and have him describe to you what those guys face every weekend in there. Have you done that?
What?
Have you spoken to Bugsy, our highway department crew chief, about what the guys face on a regular weekend in there?
I know that Eliza, before this, during all last summer, certainly in the winter, was in constant contact with Bugsy. We do know that it's an overuse problem in those bathrooms and that maintenance is a challenge. But that's also when they were open 7 days a week, and they opened at dawn and they closed at dusk. And what we're proposing is a much shorter window of usage. Okay, so we are acutely aware of the difficulty of maintaining those bathrooms. And before this COVID started, I was in the process of doing a survey of the existing facilities and possible additions to them, including, you know, composting toilets and other sort of alternatives to it, because the 2 bathrooms are not adequate. I know that. We know that. That process stopped just because of uncertainty. So I'm not unsympathetic either to the cost to the village of this, nor am I unsympathetic to the workers, that the challenges they have faced in those bathrooms. And the solution lies somewhere else. The larger solution lies somewhere else. I'm just, again, talking about a limited trial run. Okay, so, but I'm not suggesting this from a point of view of lack of understanding, or, you know, I'm not.
Well, I wasn't suggesting that. I just wanted to know if you had the full picture of what we're dealing with down there.
Yeah, we do. We do. And as I say, that's why we, you know, we decided that we needed to look for a more adequate solution to it. Okay.
Marie, are you around?
Yes.
Thoughts?
It seems to me it's reasonable to do a trial. As it turns out, Jack and I were sitting on a bench on Sunday morning, and this was about 11 or noon, something like that. Jack, there were a fair number of people already in the village. I had already observed, when I was talking to Bugsy Sunday morning, a fair number of people walking up Fair Street to go to the Travets. So I think we're in the summer crunch of people already.
Just a question that keeps, and this is an honest question. It's like, well, I've gone to other villages like Rhinebeck and Terrytown, and how do they deal with it? Because they don't seem to have municipal bathrooms there that I've seen. It seems like our merchants are really reluctant to open their bathrooms, some now because of COVID, and others just because they don't want the abuse that we see at our bathrooms.
Well, I think, Dave, Rhinebeck does, and I think they're back, the inn, you know, where the antique place is in the back, or they're across the street from there. but there are public bathrooms in Rhinebeck. I'll try and find out where they are. Tarrytown, I don't know, honestly. As far as the merchant situation goes, you know, I can't, there is a difference between what a municipality provides in terms of as a public service and a public health issue, as opposed to what a private property owner does. And in a sense, there's no difference between, you know, a merchant or someone in a private home feeling that their bathroom is their private area. Now, you know, restaurants are required. In my experience, in the past, before COVID started, you had a uneven participation of merchants who would allow clients, allow their customers to use the bathrooms, particularly in a case of emergency. It's like, I did it, you know, in my time at Once Upon a Time. Flower Cup did it. Now, very often these were cases of parents with kids and the kids, you know, needing to use a bathroom, pregnant women, but it wasn't universal, no. And when I inquired about it, I got stories that were not dissimilar to what Lynn was talking about what Bugsy has to deal with at the public bathrooms, you know? I personally, and I'm not saying this has to be the village's opinion or policy, I personally think that there is an obligation when so much of the tax base, the sales tax base, and let's leave aside the question of how much of that we enjoy back, but so much of the sales tax base is dependent upon visitors here. And how much of the wear and tear on the bathrooms is the result of the hikers who are coming here at the bequest of a park service whose policy is to have as many people, as many citizens and taxpayers as possible enjoy the state parks. So I think, again, just from my experience in the public policy world, I see a difference between the villages providing this as a public health issue as opposed to a private shop owner providing it. I think that difference has been exacerbated by the fact of COVID, and that so many of the shopkeepers now on Main Street are young and have young kids. You know, Heidi, Eliza, Rebecca at the cheese store. They're residents of the village, and they are doubly conscious of the fact that they've got kids at home that they're trying to protect. So I don't think there's going to be a real solution to be found there until this thing goes away, until we have a vaccine for it. And listen, if what I am proposing, as I said before, these are subjective decisions that you all have to make. I don't have to take responsibility for them. So I wouldn't have brought it to you if I didn't think the time was right for a trial, but I'm not trying to convince you, per se, of that. I think I appreciate the hearing. I do think I agree with Marie that the time is right for a trial to see if we can handle this. So anyway, you've been kind with your time with me, and I tend to run on. So.
Thanks, Jack.
I know I do. I know I do.
Okay. I personally need a little more time on it.
Okay.
I think there's a liability. I think we have to make sure, I don't know whether it's a release form or whatever there's a number of things, like from the volunteers.
Okay.
I'm worried about my children who are Bugsy and his crew going there.
No. I understand.
You know, so you know, I want to talk to Bugsy about it and see what his feelings are. You know, and see what we can do. You know, you've always come to us, and you know, we're willing to talk. So we'll see where that goes. I think I need to have everyone else set on where they think we should go with this, or you know, I'm really not. I'm reluctant to. I do see the health issue, and I have heard stories of people urinating on others' properties, and if not more. I don't know if that'll stop with 4 hours on just weekends or not. I'm sure it'll help, but you know, I think there's a bunch of questions.
Okay, if you will, as I say, I'd like to continue this. So if there are, I do appreciate you taking the time out of what you've got to think about this, and to see what actual concrete steps we could take and what concrete questions need to be answered. So
I'd be a lot more willing to put some energy into this if the county and the chamber would pony up some money. That's where I stand on it. So,
but
if it's volunteer, then it's
Yeah.
if it's volunteer, I think that would take a lot of the costs off. And if we just cleaned, if we're there on Sunday morning doing garbage pickup, we could, if we decided it was safe or we were willing to. The guys coming in for garbage are there for 2 hours, and they could easily clean the bathrooms, I think, you know, or disinfect, whatever, if we were willing to do that, you know. So the cost isn't going to be any different, you know, for us cleaning that. It's going to take them away from a little bit of work, but I don't think they're actually working for 2 hours on Sunday morning. Saturday or Fridays, I'm not sure, you know, what they're doing on Fridays. So I don't know how much it'll take them away from, or if it's an hour to go in there and wipe everything down. You know, I agree that we should be getting more money, but I don't know. This is like a volunteer, you know, trial. So those 4 hours we need to have something in writing or something on how it's going to work, and signs up, and maybe some release forms, whatever we need to do. But we can work the logistics out if you think it's even worth trying, or if you think it's, you know, which is totally reasonable, that it's maybe a little too risky to have people in that bathroom, then we just don't discuss it any further. So I think we could have an answer by the next meeting. If you guys want to think about it, I'll send some of my ideas, and if we're honest about where we feel with this. And I think, Steve, I mean, is everyone else like, are there people here that just say, no, this is not a good idea? Because if it is, you know, and we have a majority to think that way, then we need not waste any more time.
If we have a plan that I think is going to keep them clean enough, keeps up with the usage and everything, then yeah, why not? But you know, I think that's more than 2 hours a day of some guys coming in and doing it. I mean, you're supposed to disinfect.
I think it would be 1 hour, right?
No, I think it would be on a weekend. It would be a full day's work to stay on top of that.
So if we were open it for 4 days.
Also, the only thing that I keep thinking is that, so you clean it every 3 hours, and no one that has COVID goes in there, and then someone does. And then it still doesn't get cleaned for 2 hours after that, and they accidentally pee all over everything, or they do it on purpose because they're that kind of person. You know, and then we have a serious situation on our hands. So it's, I don't know.
I mean, I think it's worth taking a look at. I'd like to just see some kind of a simple agreement. As long as the volunteers in the chamber are honest with us about what they see, and, you know, days when you don't have volunteers to get in there, we need to know not to open them. And, you know, because volunteers are good as long as they're there, and, you know, that's volunteer time. So when they can't, they can't, you know, so, but I'd like to see some kind of a very simple written understanding, and see how it goes.
I think that's one part of that that I didn't thought about, Brandon. I think the opening, I think that would be by the volunteers. I don't think we can have the police come down, because if we don't know who's working, so
Right.
that would be one thing. I think we should work around a train schedule. I think it should be after each train, after that drop off, once they leave, between then and the next drop off, it should be cleaned. I mean, that would be the minimum, I think.
Jack, could you draft a memo of understanding?
Sure. Absolutely. I'll draft it and just, who should I, to Jeff? Should I just send it to Jeff?
That would be good.
Okay, I will do that within the next week, within the next few days. I think you should know that I'm rotating off the chamber board as of August 1st. So we would probably be continuing this discussion with some other board member. I'm still staying on. I'm still staying a member of the chamber, and I'm available for whatever. And I'm still going to be a volunteer at the booth whenever it opens. I'm not giving up that because I enjoy it. So yes, I will get the ball rolling on this, and then turn it to Liza, and that conversation will take place with her.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. We'll move along here.
All right. Thank you all very much. I'm going to leave the meeting now. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Jack.
Bye.
Next, I think, well, we've already discussed the garbage truck. We also read the highway. So discussion on community day really goes to just having any kind of large events, so I think, number 12 can be tied in with, the requests we've had from both John Shear and Lauren Drummond on their events. So I think, and then I think the other is also C Street, regardless of what, their plans are. I'm sure they're going to need a month in advance, so we don't know yet. And they weren't able to, last time we contacted them, whether they were going to come to the village or not. I don't think. So I guess the discussion is whether to have any events, this year, basically. Or if we do, then when do we give a green light? When, what's going on in the rest of the country, I feel is going to come around. That's not a given. I don't know that for a fact, but, I'm not sure where we're at right now. I think we're in a kind of a good place in New York, but how long that's going to last, or planning an event, it's, months away is a problem. Stuff like, the fireworks, that's a big investment that we wouldn't be able to cancel after the end of this month. So for Community Day, that's that. I'm sure the investment by anyone that's, from John or Lauren for their events, definitely there's going to be, financial impact if we canceled it, 2 weeks. If something happens and governor says we have to close this down or whatever, I mean, they would have to understand that. And I'm not sure whether we really want to even go there. So
Yeah, my opinion is based upon what I've noticed in other activities in New York State, large activities such as the Dutchess County Fair and I think the New York State Fair, they've been canceled. So I think we should cancel Community Day for Labor Day weekend.
I agree.
And as far as the other events,
I don't think we can have them. I mean, anything I've read on these, the phase 4 reopening low risk outdoor arts and entertainments, nothing says you can have a big fair. You can have, walk around at a museum grounds or, walk around at a zoo or a park, but nothing says you can have a big fair. And I don't think we can do that. I don't think we should do any of it at this point. And I think what we got from Lauren basically is she's aware of that we've canceled and she's asking us to push till 2021, which makes more sense. I don't see doing any of it at this point. I think it's just too dangerous. I mean,
Agreed.
Lynn, Steve?
Me too. It would be nice if there was a way we could do the fireworks as a drive-in kind of fireworks, but I don't think we have enough space anywhere nearby to do that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Just because I love fireworks.
Yeah, I have some bottle rockets.
Okay.
You want them?
that's the ones that are illegal in New York State.
We'll talk about that later.
But I would be, I would be okay with giving Lauren the nod for next year, if she wants to plan that way, but, only under the understanding that we don't know what this disease is going to do. We could see it fade away, or we could see another spike in the fall or winter, which would turn everything on its ear. I mean, even the experts don't really know what to expect 3-6 months down the road. So seems risky to make any kind of plan like that.
I would think that we could give Lauren a tentative reservation for those dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Mhm.
Based upon whatever the circumstances are in the spring of 2021.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think, Jeff, we have the whole application, right?
Yeah, Lauren, I unmuted her as we're discussing this. We would probably want a new application as it's a new year and new dates, but she's already paid her deposit and has already put money down towards the event that was canceled for this year that she would like to carry over. Well, I think we would require a new application because the layout and the site plan is going to change.
Yes.
One of my thoughts is we're not going to public right now, so can we just keep this with the board, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. I think one thing we should discuss are these events in general before next year, and whether we need to rewrite or make adjustments to the agreements we have, and to really look at them and see if this is something we want to continue with and work on. It does take a budget, it takes energy, and we need to, I think there are a number of things that came up that we should put in the agreements that, like the parking. I think we've added it behind the highway that's mandatory. I think there should be people it's mandatory that there's someone at the parking areas directing parking and not just putting a sign up. I think there's a number of things that we need to really solidify our agreements with, knowing now what we're up against, and what these events, what happens at these events. So I think before we agree, we can tentatively agree on this, but I think we should really, before next year and before we sign off or let, anyone fill an application, I think we should discuss at a workshop, the value of these events and, to us and, to the village, and see, looking back what we should do to the agreements and how we should change them before we let, people sign for next year.
When we first took over Dockside, we talked about having someone as an events coordinator separate from the board who would be handling the applications and the reviews and being on scene for the day of the event. That may be something we want to relook at. I think we talked about it as a paid position, but based on some of the income from the events.
All right. Well, I think that's definitely something we should do. Jeff's taking most of it, or Jeff and I are handling, or whoever, and then we're getting emails and requests and trying to shuffle those around. So I think that's not a bad idea at all. So,
Best of my knowledge,
what's
the
that?
only thing, to the best of my knowledge, the only thing that we have reserved for the remainder of the year is the Presbyterian Church at the pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
What is probably expected is that there be the Senior and Volunteer Appreciation Day. Typically, we've been holding that in September. I would think we shouldn't do that.
No, we can't do that.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that either. Do we still have a John Shear event on the books for September?
For the second weekend, the weekend after Labor Day, or he has been approved for dates, and those were approved pre-COVID.
So that has to be canceled too.
I agree with Marie on the senior picnic. We can't have that. As far as the Presbyterian Church, I think they have a small congregation and they'll have seating, and it's an organized small event. So I think using the pavilion, if you know, they're wearing masks and they set the tables up, I think that's fine. And they do a lot for the community. So I would be glad to work with them on that, on a small event like that.
So do we need to notify John Shear that his September event is canceled?
I think we all agree today that
Yes.
all events should be canceled. I think one other thing before we, go to that is what about C Street? Because are we going to let a boat stop and drop off 400, 800 people for the day when we're stopping an event for the same reason?
I'll get in touch with Brett. The last time we spoke, it was probably early last month, their plans were very much up in the air. I'll find out now if they have any more firm plans and tell him that we don't think they should come. We are not going to welcome them this year.
That's good.
Well, I agree. I
I
don't think
agree.
we can go one way. I mean, it's going to be a significant hit financially, but I think that what we're doing in the others is trying to prevent, spread or do every measure that we can take to prevent it. So I don't see it'll be totally contradictory to allow C Street to come in.
Okay, I'll get in touch with him.
Well, and the reality is that currently any of the hot spots that are popping up in New York are directly traced to large gatherings, and not even gatherings that are all that large. So, this definitely makes sense and fits into the precautions that I think we really should take.
So I'll make a motion that we cancel or not reserve any large events at our parks for the remainder of this year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We talked about, so I think we've talked about correspondence, and I'm sure public comment, we can talk to Lauren. Yard debris we talked about. The request to purchase the property behind the old Impel building.
I'm sorry, Dave, can you back up?
Yep.
There's an email from Roberto Ruiz.
Okay.
Where he makes some requests of the village about the Benedict trash. And he's making a statement that the site is overfilled, that the piles of debris produce odors and have attracted animals and snakes. And he's adjacent to this. There is illegal dumping at the site in addition, and he cites blocks, cement blocks, asphalt chunks, large pieces of trees. And he said he says in his email that he stopped some individuals from doing this, private individuals from doing this dumping, and they claim that they have permission from the village, which we know is not correct. He's asking in his point number 4, he's asking that some form of a secure gate or a border of hedges or bushes to close the entranceway to the premises. So I think that it seems to me it's not unreasonable. If the site is producing odors, if it's attracting wild animals, I would not want to live next door to it. And he has no options. That's where he lives. It seems as if his request to block people from dumping illegally is reasonable. So I'd like to suggest that we investigate either hedges or bushes or shrubs or some form of a gate, a barrier to prevent people from getting onto the premises.
Okay, no, I agree. I'll talk to Bugsy.
Okay, great.
At the very least, we could lock that cable that goes across it. It's just kind of sitting there now. It's not really locked. So
Is there,
make
can
sure
we put a camera? I'm sorry. Can we put a camera there to see who's dumping? I mean, we have cameras around. I don't know if there's a a place we can put a camera there if it will connect to our system.
We'd probably
Yeah,
have
but-
to run a telephone line,
Yeah.
right? And electricity. I don't remember whether or not there are any electric poles.
I think if we have a chain with a lock on it, I don't know if there's one that's not there being used, and we could set
Yeah, it's just never locked.
boulders up that so people can't get through there.
I've checked that place. The lock is just kind of hanging there on it. You just lift it up with the cable. So
Oh, okay.
start locking it.
That's when you dump your stuff there, right, Steve?
Yeah. Now it had a load of asphalt and some dead animals I was dumping off there.
Some deer
Yeah.
carcasses.
I don't know what the guy's talking about though.
Okay, I'll talk to Bugsy about putting something that's more permanent and harder to get through. And,
That's great.
okay, then is that anything else I've missed? I've missed a bunch tonight, so thank you for drawing my attention. Request to purchase a village-owned property at 37 Fair. It's 30, I think Jeff sent a map that's fairly accurate, if not accurate. It's 30 deep by 125 wide. It's slightly sloped and then drops off. There's space between that property and the village garage. So that's basically it. It's not like, you know, so a retaining wall definitely would be needed. And probably it would be part of the agreement to protect us. I don't think it's not big enough for building. It's not a building lot without a lot of variances. And I think the only person it's really valuable to is probably the owner of the property, because their setback from the back of that building is not really that large. So I think they want, according to Jeff, I think they wanted to purchase the property to put a pool in maybe. I would see it as, you know, either parking or just to have a yard, because they really don't have much. So I'm for selling it, just a matter of if we do what the $4 a square foot, it comes out to $15,000. I don't know whether that's reasonable or too much or too little, but that's what that would come out to. So
Is that what we were charging on Main Street?
I think it was 4, Jeff. Was it 4?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, it was $4 a square foot.
Didn't we already look at selling this to another person who was interested in the property?
Who was gonna buy the property? Didn't buy it?
Yeah, they didn't buy the property, but they were going to put a brew pub there or a brewery or something.
Oh, maybe.
Didn't
One of the
we get as
7.
far as creating a price for it or anything? I don't remember. You remember, Jeff?
I looked through the file. There was no discussion of an actual price. There was 2 previous requests. There was that Blue Homes, the mobile home place that was going to go there.
The California company.
Yeah, and then there was someone who wanted to buy the place for a brew pub that never really came to fruition. So there was just initial inquiries if
Okay.
the village would be willing.
So they would have to pay
Let's
for
talk
the,
on whether we should sell first. Does everyone agree we should or not? Or
I think we should look into the value of it, not just
Okay.
go with $4. It might be worth more than that to the village.
Is
Okay.
there any potential use of that property for the highway garage? Since
Not really. It's up higher. It's like more of a plateau, so you really can't get to it that easy. There is one section, half of it probably you could get to, but I don't know what you would use it for. We have
could
money.
use it for a composting facility for wood chips?
You'd have to dig it all out. It'd be kind of the same as on Benedict in order to have something there.
It's like
I
a
thought
big,
of it
it's
also.
like a big embankment, Lynn.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I was thinking about the same property and the same
there's
configuration.
about a 10 to 15 foot flat space between the east side of the highway garage and where the slope starts.
Ah, I see.
So the sale would be contingent upon the price, and they would have to shoulder the legal fees as well. And we would require that they put up a retaining wall inside their property to shield it from the village garage site, right?
They're going
I
to
think
use
we
it.
should mark off where we think the amount, where the property should end too. So, and they have to have it surveyed, you know, not just survey it, kind of come up with, I think we should either look at it or stake somewhere and say, this
Yeah,
is
I
as
think-
far as we want you to go.
Yeah, I think what we should do is ask them to stake out the western points
Yeah,
on their survey so that we can see that. One other thing that struck me about the survey is it appears as if you have the survey in front of you, the areas that delineate Fair Street from Springbrook, they have a perimeter within which there is gravel. That perimeter appears to be on the state highway.
the property in front of the infills, the way they show it, is that what you're saying? Sorry.
No, on the other side of the street.
Oh,
On Springbrook side of the street, it appears as if the area that delineates the parking area in Springbrook protrudes onto Fair Street.
oh. I think we got into that and we decided, or maybe that's down farther towards Riverview, that, you know, we took some trees down there and there was a discussion on that. I thought it was actually our property, or looking at the surveys. Maybe it's different. It might go and then angle. So not this.
It might. The other thing about that property, and maybe the planning board will take this on, because this is in front of I believe this is going in front of the planning board. The property is currently zoned I-1. And I-1 definitely restricts what you can and cannot do. I would like to see a requirement, although the planning board may do this, I would like to see a requirement of the extension of the sidewalk from Alberto Moro's. The sidewalk ends at Alberto Moro's property, and then it picks up again in front of Janet Rust's property.
Right.
I'd like to see the sidewalk extended that entire length.
Okay, we can definitely have that. So I guess we'll just, we can tell them we're interested in selling. I don't know, where do we get the appraisal? Do we ask them for an appraisal? Do we get an appraisal? I think the property we just sold on Healy, they gave us, or we got, I think they gave us the appraisals on that. And then we said that seemed too little, and then adjusted, and then sold it.
I don't know, do we usually get an appraisal, or we just give them a fee price?
Well, for a piece of property bigger than this, we haven't really done that, so.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten appraisals for small, you know, sidewalk pieces, but, or stoops.
Let me take a look at some of the smaller properties in the village, if I can do that kind of an analysis with the Putnam County tax database, and see what the property is appraised at.
Okay.
Just give us an idea.
Yeah. I guess it's the matter of how valuable this is, or who it's valuable to, really. It's not really, I think one person, actually Janet Russ might want it. Maybe she wants a flag.
A flag lot? No.
Flag lot, yeah.
No. I've talked to Janet, and she's more concerned about who's going to be clipping the hedges between her property and that property.
Okay. All right, so we can get in touch with the owner. We'll tell her we're interested in selling. We just need to come up with, you know, I don't know what an appraisal will cost, or whether they should pay for an appraisal. If they...
Yeah, ask them to get an appraisal.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. So Jeff, can you follow up on that, please?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, approval of bills, Lynn?
Okay, I move to approve batch number 5637 for a total amount of $38,735.75.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes, July 7, 2020. I was not at that meeting. Is that the one I was not at?
Yes,
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from July 7th, 2020.
I'll second.
I'll abstain. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anything else from the board before we go to public comment?
Our next meeting.
Oh, okay. I think we should have it next Tuesday regardless.
Yes.
And we should either do that or mix it if there were stuff we need to take care of. And we can have a CUC update, continuation of that.
That'd be great.
6:30.
Yes.
6:30, good with everyone?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Are you not going to be here, Steve, or you will for
I'll
that
still
one?
be here.
Okay.
I'm leaving week from Friday. I leave.
Okay. Great. All right. Jeff, you want to,
All right, well, no one has their hand raised, so I don't know if there are comments. I'll go to Lauren. Luke also is.
Oh yeah, Luke Hilbert was before.
All right, so, oops, where'd Luke go? I'm gonna go to Luke first because I can't find Lauren right now on here.
I think Lauren's off.
Good evening. How are you?
Hey man.
I just had a question. I was under the impression that Mr. Downey was going to discuss 64 Fair Street and a drainage pipe there, and that was.
I don't think he has any conclusions about it yet. He was going to possibly run off camera. Now I talked to John. Are you representing John or Rupert or somebody?
No, I represented Rupert on his purchase, and he just wanted to follow up, just kind of to gather information.
So I spoke with John either yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. Bugsy and I took a look at it on Sunday. I'm not an engineer, but we could see the problem. It appears as if the drainage pipes that go from the east side of Fair Street to the west side of Fair Street are filled with silt and or debris and or dirt. It really doesn't matter. And it's possible that those could be cleared out to address some of the problem. A second possibility, which occurred to me afterwards, is a drainage ditch on the east side of Fair Street, leading to just a dip, because right now it's fairly level. The ground is fairly level. So a ditch on the east side of Fair Street, which would go to the drainage pipe that runs under Fair Street, and comes out just north of the east end of the northeast corner of Mayor's Park. I didn't even know it was there. Bugsy pointed it out to me. The other drainage pipe that exists, that Bugsy believes exists, is the drainage pipe that goes from the back brook that comes through Springbrook and goes under Fair Street. But that's uphill from the problem that we're seeing. So that doesn't seem to me. The little bit of engineering that I know is that water tends to flow downhill. So connecting in there would not seem to be the best idea. So Bugsy was going to do some additional investigation on it. I have not talked to Rupert, but I did talk to John Martin about it yesterday.
Great.
I think also the catch basin was totally clogged. I mean, any drainage coming out of there, Bugsy said, was 98%, blocked. And so he was talking to the county and seeing if the county could come over and clean that out. Since it was only one catch basin, it would be kind of cost prohibitive just to do that one. So he's going to see if the county will bring their machinery over and clean that out and then see where that goes.
And that catch basin is the catch basin on the south end of John Martin's north driveway.
Right. That's all I know also. So I know
that works for me. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was any conclusion. I just know that Mr. Downey was out there the other day and spoke to Rupert a little bit. And
he did.
had
Great.
some concerns about the pipe itself, and we were trying to find out a lot of this information. So I know that I think there was a camera run up there last fall. So there may be some additional information if you guys need it.
To the best of my knowledge, last fall there was no camera run. What they did is a fire company came up and with a pump truck and dumped the water into the drainage grate at the bottom of Bill Ehrlich's driveway.
Okay.
And the question and I think they had some dye in the water, but it was getting dark, and it was in a dry spell, and so if there are cracks in the pipe, the water could have been seeping out of the pipe. There was some water that it was observed to south and west of the pipe, more toward Rupert's house.
Right.
Toward the bottom of, there was some water that was observed there, but how those pipes are interconnected is still a question.
Okay.
If they are interconnected.
Right.
It's a mystery.
We will stay tuned. Thank you.
Thanks, Lou.
Excellent. Okay, Eliza Starbuck has her hand raised.
Okay.
Eliza, okay.
There I am. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to thank you all for considering the teacher's request. I know that you're considering a lot of difficult choices right now, and I appreciate your utmost concern with public health safety. And this is one of those problems where you're kind of either way you're losing something. So it's a something of a hard choice to make. So I appreciate that you're willing to work with the chamber, at least to consider this offer. And I think I'm really grateful to our volunteers who are willing to entertain it as well. And I hope that you guys will continue just working with us to figure out if and when it is an appropriate time to open the restrooms, because when you have 500 people on the streets, I don't think we have that many, but when you have large groups of people in the village, they're going to go somewhere, and we all know that. So it is something that has to be handled, managed, addressed. I know that I've talked to several shopkeepers about opening their restrooms and just doing extra cleaning, and several shopkeepers are doing that, and the restaurants certainly have all their bathrooms open and are doing all the cleaning that needs to be done. So it's not something that our shopkeepers are trying to shirk or avoid. I think it's tricky for everybody, and we understand that, and we appreciate that you guys are willing to just work with us on at least making a plan for if and when it is time. So thank you so much for keeping the conversation open and working with Jack. And when Jack steps down, we'll have one of the board members, if not myself, continue to hope to work with you on this. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliza.
Okay, Kathleen. Kathleen, can you hear? There you go.
Attempting to unmute. There we go. Sort of in line with what Eliza's saying, but slightly different. I wanted to thank you all for having the public health at the forefront of your thoughts. I feel like the public health isn't always at the forefront of thoughts around us, and I'm really grateful. And I'm grateful to Bugsy and his crew for dealing with the bathrooms when they do deal with them, and I share Dave's concern for their health. I'm wondering what resources might be available from the Office of Tourism from the county. They do have budget lines, and they're certainly encouraging people to come up the train lines to Putnam to spend and enjoy their time on the trails. And I'm wondering if they have made any offer to help us. We get a very different load of tourism than they do on the eastern side of the county. And if they're going to be promoting us as a destination, I hope that they would be helping us to keep the public safe while they're here.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Anyone else? Jeff?
I don't see it. John Shear, hold on one second. Okay. John Shear.
Thanks, Jeff. I came on late. I was just wondering, somebody had indicated that you have decided to have no events in the village for the rest of the year. Is that correct?
It is.
Major events.
Oh, large, yeah.
Do we have a defining number for what a large is for, like, number of people?
Your event.
What number would that be, Fran, if you can be clear about other than my event?
We canceled all events till the end of the year.
Yeah, and we were just saying.
We canceled the community day, we canceled your day, we canceled Sea Streak, we canceled the wine festival.
There's one small event that we said could continue, or that was a request, was at Pavilion. It was from the Presbyterian Church for the congregation to hold a service there on Sunday. I don't think there's more than 25 people. If you want us to give you a number, I don't have that, but I would say it's definitely less than 100. I would say it's less than 50.
So no Sea Streak in the village either for the village businesses?
Yes.
So,
Senior picnic.
Nothing.
Senior picnic usually has like 50 people or 60, right? Something like that.
What's that, the senior?
Yes.
Yeah.
50, 60.
Yeah, it's a packed house. They're all packed into the pavilion, and they're all of the age that we definitely don't want to put them in jeopardy.
So I guess with regards to the village and the businesses in town, you're not looking to help them out at all, bring anybody into town and stuff.
We're looking to keep them safe and healthy.
Yeah. Well, if they don't have anybody in their stores, they won't be around for much longer. But
John, I think you should realize that the village is not just made up of few businesses. Also, I think we take everything into consideration, and looking at what's going on in the whole world, we have to look at that also. So I don't think you can put a dollar, amount on a person's well-being. And I think what we've done is looked at large groups and what the possibilities or potential for, increasing the chances to spread the disease are. And we've come out and unanimously decided that it's not worth the risk. So if you want to play it that we're against business and against people and want to destroy lives, you can do that. You've done that before, but that's not the case.
No, I haven't done that before, Dave. So, just
Brought
don't
it up.
throw that out. Just don't throw that out there, Dave.
You just brought that up just now in a way that's really subtle, but I'm not a fool, and I understand what you're saying.
Well, we're not sure about that, Dave.
Which one is that, John?
Whichever you want, Dave.
No, be more specific, John.
I know.
Nobody understands what we're dealing with. They'll see you on these things like, this innocent person that's not nothing. But every time we have an event, it's a problem. And now we're trying to do something that we think's right. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with Lauren. It has nothing to do with C Street. We're losing money that's really expensive. So if it was about money and people's welfare, not welfare, and just about the money and the coffers of our village, we would let everyone come in and do whatever they want, and we could be like other places like Florida and Texas and whatever, and do that and see where that goes and see what's happening there. We're not. We've chose not to do that.
Well, I just want to thank Marie for reviewing my plan, and thank you, Marie, for detailing it for the rest of the committee there. We worked hard in that. We wanted to try to make it a safe haven festival. We were planning on doing temperature checks. We were planning on having 100% contact traceable events. It was going to be a small mini festival. I appreciate you looking it over and spending the time. I'm not sure if Steve or Fran or Lynn had the opportunity, or Dave had an opportunity to look over that plan, but we spent a lot of time and effort on it. We'll continue to pursue it, maybe somewhere else. And that's about it. So thank you.
I look over everything that's submitted to me thoroughly. I looked through your binder. I got it early on. I looked through every part of it. I praised your efforts in doing that. And, that's neither here nor there. I'm looking at what you're saying, and you're having a large group of people there, and we don't think that's the prudent thing to do. So okay. As far as looking at your information, not only Marie, who you said thank you to, I know I have, and I'm sure the other board members have. I would hope they have looked at your plans and saw what you had put into them and the effort you made to make it a safe haven. I don't believe that you can really have a large crowd you can make it as safe as possible, but I don't think it's going to be a safe event, and that's what we've decided on.
All right, thank you.
Heidi?
I just would like to just say before I end is that it would have been nice if you could have just possibly have reached out to me prior to today. I know we had a tentative approval date of September 12th and 13th. Would have been nice to at least know from you that this is going to be discussed and the decision was made. Maybe you don't have to do that, and that's fine. You know, you do what you want there, but you know, I've been trying to stay in contact, and it would have been really nice to just have gotten a little notice of your decision prior to bringing it out into the public. That's all.
John, we always said we were going to make the decision mid-July, early August, and we made the decision tonight. You know, that was it. It wasn't done before this. This is mid-July. That's when we said we were going to discuss it.
I think we actually set our second meeting or the middle of July, which is now.
I didn't think you would just be making a decision like right tonight at a meeting. I thought you would have had a discussion prior to tonight, and then, you know, maybe a day or two before, maybe just notified us that that was the plan. That's all. I didn't think you were going to be making a decision that's so impacting just this evening. So my apologies. I came in late on the meeting. Thank you.
Heidi Bender?
Okay, yeah, I don't have a video, but I just wanted to say really quick that as a business owner on Main Street, I do feel like the village board is putting us, you know, in there, putting us first in terms of keeping everyone safe. I personally just appreciate that health concerns are being put first, and I just wanted to put that piece in as a business owner. So thank you.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thanks, Heidi.
Heidi?
Kathleen?
I was just, as a resident, going to say the same thing. We all love our festivals in the village, and we love taking advantage of our waterfront, but those of us who live here are grateful to the Board of Trustees for protecting the public health. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Jeff?
No, that's it.
Okay. Long meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your input on everything. These aren't easy topics. We don't do whatever we want, as someone has suggested. I think we look at everything thoroughly and made a decision on that. It's not like we've not taken everything into consideration on any of the issues we've talked about. And it really, I don't think it's been a surprise to anyone that we had the meeting and discussed this tonight, although it wasn't specifically on the agenda. We've had long conversations in a couple of our other Zoom meetings so far regarding festivals. So anyway, thank you for your diligence. Thank you for, I know you guys do your job, and I know you're looking into everything and taking in everything, considering everything. So I appreciate that. I'd also like to thank Marie for, you know, for taking over for me for a while. I do appreciate knowing someone that I have total confidence in, you know, taking care of business while I wasn't there. So thank you, Marie, and thank you, board, for everything you guys do. I really do appreciate it. And that said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
What was that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Take care. Have a good one. Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Take care, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Good night.
See you, Bob.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.